Here is something rarely said aloud. Most people lose money not because they chose the wrong investment, but because they chose it for the wrong reason. Fear, urgency, the desire to feel clever, the need to feel like they are doing something, anything, instead of sitting with uncertainty. In the natural world, no creature survives by chasing every movement in the grass. A bird does not leap from branch to branch at every rustle of leaves. A deer does not sprint every time the wind changes direction. Yet in modern finance, we praise restlessness, we reward panic and call it intelligence. In 2026, the most dangerous habit you can carry into your financial life is mistaking motion for progress. If you and I were standing together now, quietly, watching a forest from its edge, you would notice something almost unsettling in its calm. Nothing appears to be rushing. Nothing is desperately trying to grow faster than its neighbor. And yet, everything is growing. Everything is moving forward, exactly as it should. Trees do not wake up one morning and decide they must double their height by nightfall. Rivers do not worry about how far they have left to go. They move, steadily, guided by forces larger than themselves. Money, surprisingly, follows many of these same rules, but somewhere along the way we forgot how to observe instead of react. If you and I were standing together now, quietly, watching a forest from its edge, you would notice something almost unsettling in its calm. Nothing appears to be rushing. Nothing is desperately trying to grow faster than its neighbor. And yet, everything is growing. Everything is moving forward, exactly as it should. Trees do not wake up one morning and decide they must double their height by nightfall. Rivers do not worry about how far they have left to go. They move, steadily, guided by forces larger than themselves. Money, surprisingly, follows many of these same rules, but somewhere along the way we forgot how to observe instead of react. You may have been told that investing is about speed, that it is about being early, being sharp, being faster than the person next to you. You may have been told that success belongs to those who predict the future most accurately. And if that were true, wealth would belong only to the loudest voices and the most confident guesses. But history tells a different story, a quieter one. Again and again, it shows us that wealth belongs to those who remain calm when others cannot. This is not a video about finding the perfect stock or discovering the one opportunity that changes everything overnight. It is not about tricks, shortcuts, or secret knowledge. It is about understanding yourself. It is about learning how to stop hurting yourself while trying to grow. And it is about discovering that the best way to invest money in 2026 has far more to do with patience, behavior, and emotional balance than with brilliance. Many people carry a quiet sense of shame about money. They feel behind. They look at their age, their savings, their past mistakes, and they feel as though they have failed some invisible test, as though everyone else received instructions they somehow missed. But wealth does not begin with perfect timing. It begins with alignment, with choosing a path you can stay on without burning yourself out. I have spent my life watching ecosystems rise and fall, forests that flourished for centuries, reefs that teemed with life, landscapes that seemed eternal. And when collapse came, it was rarely sudden. It was slow. It came from small imbalances left uncorrected, from systems pushed too hard, too fast, from the belief that growth must always accelerate. Our financial lives are no different. Most people do not fail because of one terrible decision. They fail because of many small, emotional ones repeated over time. Imagine a small animal in the wild, constantly alert, constantly scanning for danger. Every sound is a threat. Every shadow could mean the end. That animal spends so much energy being afraid that it has little left to grow. Many investors live this way, checking prices every hour, reading every headline, reacting to every rumor. They call it being responsible, but what they are really doing is exhausting themselves. Markets, like nature, move in cycles. There are seasons of growth and seasons of rest. There are long winters where nothing seems to happen at all, and then there are sudden springs that feel almost miraculous. The mistake we make is judging the health of the journey by a single season. We forget that no farmer digs up seeds every week to see if they are growing, yet investors do this every day. Let me tell you about bamboo. For years, sometimes 5, sometimes 7, it shows almost no visible growth above the soil. To an impatient observer, it appears lifeless, useless, a failure. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is happening. Roots spread wide and deep, creating a foundation strong enough to support explosive growth later. And then, when the time is right, bamboo can grow several feet in a matter of weeks. To someone who hasn't been paying attention, it looks like magic. But it is not magic, it is preparation revealed. Investing works in much the same way. Most of the work happens when nothing seems to be happening. This is deeply uncomfortable for us. We want evidence, we want reassurance, we want to feel productive. And when markets fall or move sideways for months or years, we assume we are doing something wrong. In reality, we may simply be underground, building strength we cannot yet see. One of the great misunderstandings about investing in 2026 is the belief that risk comes from staying invested during uncertain times. But uncertainty is not danger. It is simply the natural state of the future. The real risk comes from emotional reactions, from selling in fear, from chasing excitement, from abandoning long-term plans because short-term discomfort feels unbearable. People often say they are waiting until things feel safer. But safety is rarely something you feel before the fact. In nature, stability is only obvious in hindsight. The creatures that survive are not the ones who wait for certainty. They are the ones who adapt quietly, without panic, without drama. Time is the most misunderstood asset you have. People believe money makes more money, but money does very little on its own. Time is what works. Time applies pressure gently, relentlessly, turning small actions into meaningful outcomes. Compound growth is not a financial trick, it is a natural law. It mirrors how cells divide, how skills develop, how forests regenerate. Slowly, then all at once. If you invest a little, consistently, over many years, you are working with one of the most powerful forces in existence. But this requires humility. It requires accepting that you don't need to be right all the time. You don't need perfect timing. You only need to stay. There is a paradox here that unsettles many people. The strategies that work best often feel boring. Broad investments, low costs, regular contributions. They don't give you stories to tell at parties. They don't make headlines. But neither does healthy soil. And yet, nothing grows without it. Nature never places all her hope in one species. A forest thrives because of diversity. If one tree falls, others remain. If one season fails, another follows. Diversification in investing is not about maximizing excitement. It is about survival. It is about ensuring that no single mistake, no single shock can end the journey entirely. Another truth worth understanding is that risk is not mathematical. It is emotional. Two people can own the same investment and experience completely different outcomes simply because one panics and the other waits. Losses feel more painful than gains feel pleasurable. This is part of being human, but when you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and start designing systems that protect you from your own fear. If watching the market keeps you awake at night, that discomfort is information. It is telling you that your strategy does not match your temperament. The best investment plan is not the one with the highest return on paper. It is the one you can live with when things feel uncertain. Before you invest, you must build safety. In nature, no organism thrives while starving. An emergency fund is not wasted money, it is emotional shelter. It allows your investments to grow without being interrupted by fear. Peace is not a luxury, it is the soil in which growth becomes possible. Automation is another quiet kindness. When you invest regularly without having to make constant decisions, you remove your own worst enemy from the process, yourself. This is not weakness, it is wisdom.
Rivers shape landscapes not by force, but by consistency. Your habits can do the same. You do not need dozens of investments. You need wide ones. You need fewer decisions, not more. Complexity often hides confusion. Simplicity reveals clarity, and clarity builds confidence. At some point, you may realize that investing is not about becoming rich, it is about becoming free. Free from constant worry, free from comparison, free from the belief that you must outsmart others to deserve security. So let me ask you something gently. What would calm investing look like for you? Not impressive investing, not exciting investing. Calm investing. The kind that lets you live your life while your money quietly works in the background. You are not broken. You have simply been misled. You were taught to confuse noise with wisdom, speed with progress, activity with growth.
If these words brought you a sense of clarity or quiet strength, you are welcome to stay. You may share your thoughts, or simply carry this perspective with you into the next moment of your day. Sometimes, understanding is the relief we were searching for all along.